Qatari 10.
Hamid ground, Ethiopian 1111 Super, ready for pushback with information Romeo. Hamid ground, Qatari 281, ready for pushback with information Romeo. Hamid ground, Hotel Bravo Yankee Sierra November, request taxi to parking. Air China 011 Heavy, hold position. Hamid ground, Qatari 062 Victor Alpha, ready to taxi with information Romeo.
Holding position, Air China 011 Heavy.
Hamid ground, Qatari 180 Sierra Alpha, ready for pushback with information Romeo, requesting runway 34 right. Qatari 062 Victor Alpha, runway 34 left, taxi via Whiskey 1, Juliet, Lima, contact tower when ready. Qatari 2110 Super.
Hamid ground, Qatari 4 Alpha Heavy, ready for pushback with information Romeo, requesting runway 34 left.
Holding position, Qatari 281. Qatari 4 Alpha Heavy, pushback approved.
Pushback approved, tail to the north. Qatari 4 Alpha Heavy.
Air China 011 Heavy, pushback approved, tail to the north.
Pushback approved, tail to the north, Air China 011 Heavy.
Hamid ground, Qatari 79 Kilo, ready to taxi with information Romeo. Hotel Bravo Yankee Sierra November, taxi to parking, at your discretion. Hamid ground, Air Canada 729, ready for pushback with information Romeo. Taxi to parking, Hotel Bravo Yankee Sierra November. Hamid ground, Qatari 441 Charlie Heavy, request taxi to gate C9 at the concourse C.
Hamid ground, Qatari 809 Heavy, request taxi to gate C1 at the concourse C.
Qatari 809 Heavy, taxi to concourse C gate C1.
Taxiing to concourse C gate C1, Qatari 809 Heavy.
Hamid ground, Singapore 5678, request taxi to parking. Singapore 5678, taxi to parking, at your discretion. Taxi to parking, Singapore 5678. Qatari 79 Kilo, taxi to runway 34 left, contact tower when ready.
Hamid ground, Volta 10 Papa Bravo, ready for pushback with information Romeo, requesting runway 34 right.
Taxiing to runway 34 left, Qatari 79 Kilo. Juliet 3 Golf Charlie Heavy, pushback approved, tail to the north.
Stand by, Volta 10 Papa Bravo.
Hamid ground, Qatari 180 Sierra Alpha, ready to taxi to runway 34 right with information Romeo. Pushback approved, tail to the north, Juliet 3 Golf Charlie Heavy. Air Canada 729, pushback approved, tail to the north. Hamid ground, Ethiopian 1111 Super, ready to taxi with information Romeo. Thank you, good day, Qatari 062 Victor Alpha.
Hamid ground, Qatari 73 Kilo Heavy, request taxi to stand D1 at the remote transfer D apron.
Hotel Bravo Yankee Sierra November, continue taxi. Continue taxi, Hotel Bravo Yankee Sierra November. Qatari 180 Sierra Alpha, taxi to runway 34 left, contact tower when ready. Qatari 180 Sierra Alpha, disregard last message. Qatari 180 Sierra Alpha, correction, stand by. Ethiopia.
Hamid ground, Qatari 4 Alpha Heavy, ready to taxi to runway 34 right with information Romeo.
Qatari 180 Sierra Alpha, continue taxi. Continue taxi, Qatari 180 Sierra Alpha. Qatari 4 Alpha Heavy, runway 34 right, taxi via Delta, Echo, Charlie, Alpha, contact tower when ready. Hamid ground, Qatari 180 Sierra Alpha, ready to taxi to runway 34 right with information Romeo.
Hamid ground, Volta 10 Papa Bravo, ready for pushback with information Romeo, requesting runway 34 right.
Volta 10 Papa Bravo, pushback approved, tail to the north.
Pushback approved, tail to the north, Volta 10 Papa Bravo.
Hamid ground, Air China 011 Heavy, ready to taxi.
Qatari 50B, request frequency change. Air China 011 Heavy, taxi to runway 34 left, contact tower when ready.
Hamid ground, Indonesia 910, request taxi to parking.
Taxiing to runway 34 left, Air China 011 Heavy.
Hamid ground, Juliet 3 Golf Charlie Heavy, ready to taxi with information Romeo. Qatari 502, contact Hamad Tower on 118.52. Hamad ground, Air Canada 729, ready to taxi with information Romeo. Contacting Hamad Tower on 118.52, Qatari 502. Qatari 79 kilo, give way to aircraft on your right. Hamad ground, Qatari 281, ready for pushback with information Romeo. Give way to aircraft, Qatari 79 kilo. Golf Tango Oscar Mike Papa, pushback approved, tail to the north.
Hamad ground. Qatari 006 India November Heavy. Request taxi to gate B5 at the concourse C.
Hamad ground, Delta 247, ready to taxi with information Romeo. Air Canada 729, taxi to runway 34 left, contact tower when ready. Taxiing to runway 34 left, Air Canada 729. Thank you, good day, Hotel Bravo Yankee Sierra November. Delta 247, taxi to runway 34 right, contact tower when ready. Juliet 3 Golf Charlie Heavy, runway 34 right, taxi via Victor, Alpha, contact tower when ready. Pushback approved, tail to the north, Golf Tango Oscar Mike Papa. Taxiing to runway 34 right via Victor, Alpha, Juliet 3 Golf Charlie Heavy. Hamad ground, velocity 21 Victor Alpha Heavy, request taxi to gate C10 at the contour C. Velocity 21 Victor Alpha Heavy, taxi to contour C gate C10. Taxiing to contour C gate C10, velocity 21 Victor Alpha Heavy.
Taxiing to runway 34 left, Volta 10 Papa Bravo.
Indonesia 910, taxi to parking, at your discretion.
Taxi to parking, Indonesia 910.
Lufthansa 69 Papa X-Ray Super, pushback approved, tail to the north.
Pushback approved, tail to the north, Lufthansa 69 Papa X-Ray Super.
Air Canada 729, give way to aircraft ahead. Give way to aircraft, Air Canada 729. Juliet 3 Golf Charlie Heavy, maintain safe distance with aircraft ahead please. Hamad ground, Edelweiss 283, ready for pushback with information Romeo. Hamad ground, Qatari 1052, request taxi to parking. Edelweiss 283, pushback approved, tail to the west. Qatari 1052, taxi to parking, at your discretion. Pushback approved, tail to the west, Edelweiss 283. Taxi to parking, Qatari 1052. Juliet 3 Golf Charlie Heavy, contact Hamad Tower on 118.52. Hamad ground, Golf Tango Oscar Mike Papa, ready to taxi with information Romeo. Contacting Hamad Tower on 118.52, Juliet 3 Golf Charlie Heavy. Golf Tango Oscar Mike Papa, runway 34 left, taxi via Whiskey 1, Hotel, Lima, contact tower when ready. Taxiing to runway 34 left via Whiskey 1, Hotel, Lima, Golf Tango Oscar Mike Papa.
Ground, Lufthansa 69 Papa X-Ray Super, ready to taxi to runway 34 right.
Hamad ground, Qatari 1776 Alpha Heavy, request taxi to gate C9 at the concourse C.
Lufthansa 69 Papa X-Ray Super, taxi to runway 34 left, contact tower when ready.
Hamad ground, 99136 Delta Alpha Super, ready to taxi to runway 34 left with information Romeo.
Hamad ground, Alpha 6 Alpha Mike, ready for pushback with information Romeo, requesting runway 34 right. Hamad ground, Qatari 281, ready to taxi with information Romeo.
Taxiing to runway 34 left, Lufthansa 69 Papa X-Ray Super.
Hamad ground, Edelweiss 283, ready to taxi with information Romeo. Taiwan 136 Delta Alpha Super, taxi to parking, at your discretion.
Hamad ground, Lufthansa 69 Papa X-Ray Super, ready to taxi to runway 34 right. Hamad ground, 99136 Delta Alpha Super, ready to taxi to runway 34 left with information Romeo.
Qatari 281, taxi to runway 34 left, contact tower when ready. Hamid ground, Japan Air 21, ready for pushback with information Romeo, requesting runway 34 left. Qatari 1776 Alpha Heavy, taxi to concourse 2 gate 29 via Bravo, Alpha 4, Echo 3.
Taxiing to concourse 2 gate 29 via Bravo, Alpha 4, Echo 3, Qatari 1776 Alpha Heavy.
Taxiing to runway 34 left, Qatari 281. Lufthansa 69 Papa X-ray Super, taxi to runway 34 left, contact tower when ready.
Taxiing to runway 34 left, Lufthansa 69 Papa X-ray Super.
Alpha 6 Alpha Mike Mike, pushback approved, tail to the north. Pushback approved, tail to the north, Alpha 6 Alpha Mike Mike. Taxiing to runway 34 left, Edelweiss 203. Golf Tango Oscar Mike Papa, request frequency change. Hamid ground, Qatari 180 Sierra Alpha, ready to push back with information Romeo, requesting runway 34 right.
Hamid ground, Japan Air 50 Heavy, ready for pushback with information Romeo.
Hamid ground, Hotel 4 Echo Kilo Kilo Super, ready to push back with information Romeo, requesting runway 34 right.
Hamid ground, 99136 Delta Alpha Super, ready to taxi to runway 34 left with information Romeo.
Hamid ground, Japan Air 21, ready to taxi to runway 34 left with information Romeo.
Hamid ground, Qatari 153 India November Heavy, request taxi to gate C11 at the concourse C.
Hamid ground, Qatari 180 Sierra Alpha, ready for pushback with information Romeo, requesting runway 34 left.
Taxiing to runway 34 left, 99136 Delta Alpha Super.
Hamid ground, Qatari 2320 Heavy, ready for pushback with information Romeo. Hamid ground, Qatari 090 Heavy, ready for pushback with information Romeo. Hamid ground, Alpha 6 Alpha Mike Mike, ready to taxi to runway 34 right with information Romeo. Hamid ground, Japan Air 21, ready to taxi to runway 34 left with information Romeo. Hamid ground, Iran Air 625 Heavy, request taxi to stand S3 with the cargo apron. Iran Air 625 Heavy, taxi to cargo apron stand F3 via Alpha 4, Bravo, Alpha 6. Taxiing to cargo apron stand F3 via Alpha 4, Bravo, Alpha 6, Iran Air 625 Heavy. Qatari 090 Heavy, pushback approved, tail to the north. Pushback approved, tail to the north, Qatari 090 Heavy. Japan Air 21, runway 34 left, taxi via Whiskey 1, Hotel, Lima, contact tower when ready. Taxiing to run Alpha 6 Alpha Mike Mike, runway 34 left, taxi via Whiskey 1, Hotel, Lima, contact tower when ready.
Hamid ground, Speedbird 113 Bravo Alpha Heavy, ready for pushback with information Romeo.
Taxiing to runway 34 left via Whiskey 1, Hotel, Lima, Alpha 6 Alpha Mike Mike. Hamid Tower, Oman Air 477 Victor November, inbound on the ILS runway 34 left.
Qatari 122 Heavy, hold short of runway 34 left. Qatari 420 Victor Alpha Heavy, line up and wait runway 34 left.
Holding short runway 34 left, Qatari 122 Heavy.
Oman Air 477 Victor November, wind 040 at Nina, number 1, runway 34 left, cleared to land.
Number 1, cleared to land, runway 34 left, Oman Air 477 Victor November.
Bravo Lima Papa Yankee, exit runway when able, contact ground on the taxiway.
Wilco, Bravo Lima Papa Yankee.
Qatari 6 Victor Alpha Heavy, when able turn left, contact ground on the taxiway.
Wilco, Qatari 6 Victor Alpha Heavy.
Qatari 420 Victor Alpha Heavy, wind 040 at Nina, runway 34 left, cleared for takeoff, fly runway heading until at or about 3,000 feet. Cleared for takeoff, runway 34 left, Qatari 420 Victor Alpha Heavy.
Hamid Tower, Golf Tango Oscar Mike Papa, ready for departure at runway 34 left, departing straight out.
Golf Tango Oscar Mike Papa, wind 040 at Nina, runway 34 left, cleared for takeoff, fly runway heading until at or about 3,000 feet.
Hamid Tower, Japan Air 59 is 8 nautical miles to the south of 2,200 feet, inbound for landing with information Romeo.
Hamid Tower, Qatari 859 Heavy is 8 nautical miles to the south at 2,300 feet, inbound for landing. Qatari 859 Heavy, wind 040 at Nina, number 1, runway 34 left, clear to land. Japan Air 59, wind 040 at Nina, number 2, runway 34 right, clear to land.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 34 left, Golf Tango Oscar Mike Papa.
Number 1, clear to land, runway 34 left, Qatari 859 heavy. Qatari 420 Victor Alpha Heavy, contact Bahrain Center on 127.0.
Number 2, clear to land, runway 34 right, Japan Air 59.
Asiana 711, line up and wait runway 34 right.
Line up and wait runway 34 right, Asiana 711.
Air India 773 Heavy, when able turn left and contact ground, please expedite.
Wilco, Air India 773 Heavy.
Asiana 711, wind 040 at Nina, runway 34 right, cleared for immediate takeoff. Fly runway heading until or above 3,000 feet.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 34 right, Asiana 711.
Asiana 711, contact Bahrain Center on 127.0.
Contacting Bahrain Center on 127.0, Asiana 711.
Ethiopian 1111 Super, line up and wait runway 34 right.
Line up and wait runway 34 right, Ethiopian 1111 Super.
Roger 10 Papa Bravo, line up and wait runway 34 left.
Line up and wait runway 34 left. Volta 10 Papa Bravo.
Japan Air 59, when able turn left and contact ground, please expedite. Qatari 859 Heavy, exit runway when able and contact ground, please expedite.
Wilco, Japan Air 59.
Wilco, Qatari 859 Heavy.
Hamid Tower, Japan Air 21, ready for departure at runway 34 left, departing straight out.
Japan Air 21, hold short of runway 34 left. Walter 10 Papa Bravo, wind 040 at Nina, runway 34 left, cleared for immediate takeoff, fly runway heading until at or above 5,000 feet.
Holding short runway 34 left, Japan Air 21.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 34 left, Volta 10 Papa Bravo.
Ethiopian 1111 Super, wind 040 at Nina, runway 34 right, cleared for immediate takeoff, fly runway heading until at or above 3,000 feet.
Hamid Tower, 9X Ray Romeo November Tango, inbound on the ILS runway 34 left. Hamid Tower, Qatari 702 Heavy is 6 nautical miles to the south of 1,600 feet, inbound for landing, requesting runway 34 right. Cleared for takeoff, runway 34 right, Ethiopian 1111 Super.
9X Ray Romeo November Tango, wind 040 at Nina, number 1, runway 34 left, clear to land. Qatari 2320 Heavy, hold short of runway 34 left.
Number 1, clear to land, runway 34 right, Qatari 702 Heavy. Holding short runway 34 left, Qatari 2320 Heavy.
Hamid Tower, Foxtrot Lima Oscar Romeo India Alpha November, inbound on the visual runway 34 right.
Foxtrot Lima Oscar Romeo India Alpha November, wind 040 at Nina, number 2, runway 34 right, clear to land. Walter 10 Papa Bravo, contact Bahrain Center on 127.0.
Number 2, clear to land, runway 34 right, Foxtrot Lima Oscar Romeo India Alpha November.
Contacting Bahrain Center on 127.0, Volta 10 Papa Bravo.
Ethiopian 1111 Super, frequency change approved, good day.
Frequency change approved Ethiopian 1111 Super, good day.
Qatari 122 Heavy, line up and wait runway 34 left.
Line up and wait runway 34 left, Qatari 122 Heavy.
9X Ray Romeo November Tango, exit runway when able and contact ground, please expedite.
Wilco, 9X Ray Romeo November Tango.
Qatari 122 heavy, wind 040 at 9er, runway 34 left, cleared for takeoff, fly runway heading until at or about 5,000 feet. Qatari 702 heavy, when able turn left, contact ground on the taxiway.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 34 left, Qatari 122 heavy.
Japan Air 21, line up and wait runway 34 left.
Line up and wait runway 34 left, Japan Air 21. Wilco, Qatari 702 heavy.
Hamad Tower, Lufthansa 69 Papa X-ray Super, ready for departure in sequence at runway 34 left, remaining in the pattern.
Hamad Tower, Black Pearl 1, inbound on the ILS runway 34 right.
Lufthansa 69 Papa X-ray Super, hold short of runway 34 left.
Going around, Qatari 4 Mike X-ray.
Black Pearl 1, wind 040 at 9er, number 2, runway 34 right, cleared to land.
Holding short runway 34 left, Lufthansa 69 Papa X-ray Super.
Hamad Tower, Hotel 4 Echo Kilo Kilo Super, ready for departure at runway 34 left, departing west. Number 2, cleared to land, runway 34 right, Black Pearl 1.
Qatari 4 Mike X-ray, roger, fly runway heading runway 34 left.
Roger, Qatari 4 Mike X-ray.
Hotel 4 Echo Kilo Kilo Super, hold short of runway 34 left. Japan Air 21, wind 040 at 9er, runway 34 left, cleared for takeoff, fly runway heading until at or about 5,000 feet.
Holding short runway 34 left, Hotel 4 Echo Kilo Kilo Super.
Qatari 122 heavy, frequency change approved, good day.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 34 left, Japan Air 21. Qatari 4 Mike X-ray, request frequency change.
Foxtrot Lima Oscar Romeo India Alpha November, when able turn left and contact ground, please Qatari 4 Alpha Heavy, line up and wait runway 34 right.
Hamad Tower, line up and wait runway 34 right, Qatari 4 Alpha Heavy.
Qatari 4 Mike X-ray, contact Doha Director on 119.4.
Contacting Doha Director on 119.4, Qatari 4 Mike X-ray.
Hamad Tower, Japan Air 50 Heavy, ready for departure in sequence at runway 34 right, departing east. Qatari 449, wind 040 at 9er, number 1, runway 34 right, cleared to land.
Number 1, cleared to land, runway 34 right, Qatari 449.
Japan Air 50 Heavy, hold short of runway 34 left. Japan Air 50 Heavy, hold short of runway 34 right.
Holding short runway 34 right, Japan Air 50 Heavy.
Air China 011 Heavy, Qatari 4 Alpha Heavy, wind 040 at 9er, runway 34 right, cleared for takeoff, fly runway heading until at or about 3,000 feet.
Hamad Tower, Qatari 281, ready for departure in sequence at runway 34 left, departing west.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 34 right, Qatari 4 Alpha Heavy.
Qatari 090 Heavy, hold short of runway 34 right. Delta 247, line up and wait runway 34 right.
Holding short runway 34 left, Qatari 281. Holding short runway 34 right, Qatari 090 Heavy. Line up and wait runway 34 right, Delta 247.
Air China 011 Heavy, frequency change approved, good day.
Frequency change approved Air China 011 Heavy, good day.
Alpha 6 Alpha Mike Mike, wind 040 at 9er, runway 34 left, cleared for immediate takeoff, fly runway heading until at or about 5,000 feet.
Contacting Hamad Tower on 118.52, November 316 Juliet Hotel.
Delta 24, Qatari 4 Alpha Heavy, frequency change approved, good.
Frequency change approved Qatari 4 Alpha Heavy, good day.
Hamad Tower, November 316 Juliet Hotel, inbound on the ILS runway 34 left.
Hamad Tower, Air India 1420 Heavy, inbound on the ILS runway 34 left.
Hamad Tower, Qatari 1015, inbound on the ILS runway 34 right.
Air India 1420 Heavy, wind 040 at 9er, number 2, runway 34 left, cleared to land. Turkish 200, wind 040 at 9er, number 2, runway 34 right, cleared to land. Qatari 1015, wind 040 at 9er, number 3, runway 34 right, cleared to land.
Number 2, cleared to land, runway 34 right, Qatari 1015.
November 316 Juliet Hotel, wind 040 at Nana, number 3, runway 34 left, clear to land.
Number 3, clear to land, runway 34 left, November 316 Juliet Hotel.
Alpha 6 Alpha Mike wind 040 at Nana, runway 34 left, cleared for immediate takeoff, fly runway heading until at or above 5,000 feet.
500.
Muscat International Traffic. Qatari 4 Alpha Heavy is on final. Runway 8 right. Muscat International Traffic. Qatari 4 Alpha Heavy is clear of all runways.
Muscat International Traffic, Qatari 6162 Heavy, taxiing to runway 8 right.
Muscat International Traffic. Qatari 4 Alpha Heavy, crossing runway 8 right. Muscat international traffic. Qatari 4 Alpha Heavy is clear of all runways.
Muscat international traffic. Qatari 6162 Heavy is taking off runway 8 right, departing west.